Hey you guys, it's me Crystal, and so you probably didn't notice, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I didn't upload the video last week because I was busy writing, and when I get busy, something has to go. So anyway, last week Vivian Reese did a book tag for her book. It's called the Elysian Prophecy book tag. The Elysian Prophecy is the name of her book. I think it is a YA fantasy where it's like contemporary and then they go to another world, I'm thinking maybe. Anyway, I've read some of it online and I thought it sounded really good, and it's like dark. And we all know at this point that I like dark books. So as always, I will link Vivian's video below along with all the questions in case you also want to do the tag. So even though Vivian's probably not watching this video, I did want to go ahead and send her congratulations because it's very exciting. And I'm looking forward to getting the book, and I do hope I get to it soon, but you know how TBR piles go. So these are more like prompts instead of questions, but prompt 1 is Secret Society, a book you love that no one else is talking about. For this one, I picked Some Quiet Place by Kelsey Sutton, and it's about this girl who can see personified emotions. And over the course of the book, she is getting like stalked by something, and it is very dark, and her home life is kind of dismal. So some years ago, there was like an accident, and she was hit by a car, and so she kind of came back with like no emotion. It's like she can feel, pain and stuff, but she doesn't feel emotion. So, if somebody's trying to scare her, she doesn't feel it. If somebody is yelling at her, she doesn't feel anger. And so she's kind of like this flat emotional slate, but as the story progresses, she starts to feel emotions more and more. And anyway, she's getting stalked by something, and it's very dark, and it's exciting. It's also very unique because I had never read anything like this before. Anyway, I don't ever hear anybody talking about it, and it's one of my favorite books that I've ever read. So, second question. Voices, a scary novel that gives you the chills. So for this question, there were a few things I was going to reach for, but then I thought about this book, The Covenant of the Vampire by Janine Calogridis. So this book was published in 1994. I'm pretty sure I was not reading this in 94 because I was like really young. But I don't remember when I read this book. For some reason, I think I picked it up when I was in high school. But it's part of a trilogy. I haven't read the other two books. But this book is told like with a series of like journal entries from different members of this family. And so this family is descended from Vlad the Impaler. And I actually did a research paper on Vlad the Impaler when I was in college. And so I love Vlad the Impaler. And even though I do not think the guy was a vampire, like the guy was like a hero like in Romania. He was a monster to other people. Like the way he would kill people was so gruesome and so violent. But anyway, they're going with the vampire angle. And also, speaking of vampires, if you have not seen Dracula Untold, Dracula Untold is amazing. So, it's like the perfect, like, combination of, like, vampire movie with, like, actual history. And, like, I don't know, they just did such a great job and I was so happy. So, anyway, this family is descended from Vlad the Impaler, and it is so dark. Like, this is a very adult book. And I don't even know why I was reading this when I was in high school, but I thought it was fantastic, and so I bought the other two books, but I haven't picked them up. So I've been actually wanting to reread this book, so I'm actually going to leave this book out, and hopefully I will reread it at some point soon, because I really want to finish like the entire series, because I do want to know what's going to happen. And oh my gosh, it gave me chills. I don't know if it was chills because I was scared or just chills because it was so exciting. But I have good memory of this book, so I hope it's still really, really good. Third question is Blood Crystals, a book with red on the cover. So for this book, I picked Bite Somebody by Sarah Dobie Bauer. So this is a book about this young woman who gets turned into a vampire, and she thought when she got turned into a vampire that she would be like really sophisticated and really hot, and instead she's still just herself. She's still Cecilia. And then she has mostly been getting blood from like bags, and then this guy moves into her apartment complex, and apparently the guy smells delicious. It's like a dark comedic vampire romance, and it was really fun and it was hilarious. Like, there's actually a line in this book that I was laughing so hard I had to put the book down for like 5 minutes. And it's a little thing. It's just one of those things that, like, if you're a big vampire fan like I am, especially back in the day, I was a huge fan of vampires. It's just one of those things that it's like, it's just funny because I'm a fan of vampires. Anyway, it was just a lot of fun, and it was actually my favorite book that I read in 2016. So, prompt number 4. This is called Kidnapped, a standalone story that you love. For this, I picked Horns by Joe Hill. So I actually saw the movie twice before I read this book. And in some ways, like, I thought that finding out who the killer was halfway through the book, that I would be, like, really upset. Because, like, in the movie, you don't find out until closer to the end. And it's, like, shocking. Like, in the movie, like, it's shocking. Like, the person who did it, I'm like, I don't even think this person was on my list. I mean, yeah, I considered them because I considered everybody. But, like, oh my gosh, it was so good. So anyway, so I picked up the book. And it's about this guy who wakes up one morning and, like, horns are sprouting out of his head. And all of a sudden, like, people are, like, confessing their sins to him. And he can, like, see into people's minds, you know, and, like, see, like, the truth. Like, if somebody's, like, lying to him or something. And so, some time ago, his girlfriend was, attacked and murdered in the woods. And it was right after they had a fight and broke up. And so he was the #1 suspect, but, like, he didn't do it, right? And it was supernatural, and it was weird. And I liked the book because, like, it answered some questions that, like, the movie didn't answer. And I also like the ending to the book better than the ending to the movie, because the ending in the book, like, just, it matched the overall tone of the book better than the movie did. So anyway, so number 5 is called Jesse, and I'm assuming Jesse is a character in the Elysian prophecy. It is a bookish crush you have. So I have, like, the biggest crush on Gel from Hunger Games. When I was reading those books, like, I'm pretty sure, like, I had a crush on Gel, like, almost right away. Like, the whole time I was reading the series, I'm like, I loved Peeta, but, like, I didn't have a crush on Peeta. Like, I had a crush on Gel. And, like, the whole time I'm reading it, I'm like, I hope Gel's okay. I want to know how Gel's doing. I want Katniss to stop jerking Gel around. And I've talked about it a little bit in another video about, like, the love triangle in that movie, and, like, how freaking annoying it was and how freaking pointless it was. I'm like, look, okay? Why can't they just be friends? I just felt like it was, like, forced, but this video is not about that. Regardless, I love Gel, and I will always love Gel. I don't know, it's just like at the end of the books, I just kind of wish that, you know, they talked a little bit more about Gel. I mean, like, yeah, I know that he's doing well, and that things are going well for him, and I'm happy for him, but I just kind of wish that Katniss cared more. Like, I hated Katniss. But again, this video is not about Katniss, it's about Gel, and I love Gel, because, like, you know, he was a good guy, and he was strong, and he was smart, and yeah, his invention was used, you know, to blow Katniss' sister up, but that's not his fault, you know? Also, spoiler alert. Question number 6. Elysia, a book that nailed a magical setting. So for this, I picked the Chronicles of Narnia. I do own a box set that my sister gave me for Christmas one year when I was in college. But it is very, very comfortable on my bookshelf, and I didn't want to pull it out. But yeah, I picked the Chronicles of Narnia for this. Oh my gosh, like, especially in The Magician's Nephew, which is the first book, and you get to see Narnia being created. Like, it is just so rich and so beautiful and so detailed, and I'm like, I want to go to Narnia, I want to hug Aslan, and I just love, like, this whole world. I love being in this world, and the only book I didn't love was the last one, and that's because I don't like talking animals, especially talking apes. Question 7, Transmutation. What's your favorite fantasy animal? So this is a tie between mermaids and unicorns. I love mermaids because they're just so mysterious, and they can breathe underwater, and they have fins. Now, I think if mermaids are real, they're actually probably really, really ugly, because can you imagine what they would actually have to look like? They would have gills on their necks, and I was thinking about this when I was watching The Shape of Water, which is so weird, but it was interesting, but it was so weird. And they had, like, that creature thing. I feel like that's what mermaids really look like, that they had those gills and they have those weird fish faces, and, you know, like, yeah, they're probably cool looking, but they're probably kind of also terrifying at the same time to look at. And of course, I love unicorns. I have unicorn figurines and stuffed unicorns all over my house. I actually have a paper unicorn sitting on my desk. But who doesn't like unicorns? They're just, you know, they're so regal, and, like, you know, they're like royalty. And I totally believe that they're unicorns. Question number 8. Oracles. a book with magical folk. So I picked The Hobbit mostly because I wanted to show you guys this cover. So I got this book in high school. It was assigned reading for the class when I was a sophomore, but then the teacher, he like really only wanted to have like class discussions, and he wanted to talk about like cultural issues and like politics. But I read this book anyway because I'd already read like a chapter by the time I found out that we weren't going to be reading this book, and then I liked it, and so I kept reading it, and I ended up loving it. But I wanted to show you this cover because look how creepy that is. Look how fat they made Bilbo Baggins, and then look how creepy Gollum is. And also, Gollum is so tall on this cover, and he's not tall in real life. Yeah, and I actually kind of hate this cover because it's like super creepy, but this book is full of magical folks. And question number 9, last question, is called Brethren. A book with a core group that you love. So for this, I picked Sailor Moon because, you know, it's Sailor Moon. And I absolutely love all the characters in Sailor Moon. Usagi and Mamoru and Luna and Artemis and like everyone. In fact, true story, the only fan fiction that I pretty much only ever read in my life is Sailor Moon fan fiction. And the only fan fiction I ever tried to write is also Sailor Moon. When I was in the 8th grade, I wrote a trio of Sailor Moon like parody plays. So they were like comedic plays, like poking fun at like, you know, like everything. So like Sailor Moon was Sailor Klutz, Tuxedo Mask was Tuxedo Unmasked, and the Moonlight Night was the Cheese Night. But even now, like, they make me laugh. Like, they're so bad, but they're hilarious. And yeah, I just love like their friendship and the romance, and it's just all so magical. So anyway, so that is all for this video. I hope you guys are having a great February, and Vivian's channel information and below, along with the questions and a link to her book if you want to check it out and look at it. So, and that's all I have for today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!